Saturdays. Joined with me is my trusty co-host. He's the classiest. He's the sassiest. It's Dan Hertzka or Hertz Donut. That's not his last name. We have an awesome lineup coming at you tonight. We sadly do not have everybody's favorite favorite hunter. I don't know. We don't have Cassidy with us tonight, unfortunately.
One of the players that many people know the name of.
That's him. But we will be holding it down. We've got Catota from Team Synergy, runners-up of Season Kappa. An awesome player, also an all-star. We've also, facing him, we've got a new player to the league who was featured last week, NaCl, coming from Those Filthy Casuals. So really exciting first match. We're going to be kicking that off shortly. We are trying to get a few things sorted out, so definitely bear with us. After that, we've got Andy Rogers recently from off his Tavern Talk debut, heading up the Harry Generals. He's the number 1 seed on the Harry Generals, and he's going up against another new face to THL in the form of Super Sam, and he is the number 1 seed on the Angry Chicken Fan Club. So very exciting match there. We will be going over their classes and everything as we get to those matches. And then finally, last but definitely not least, the beautiful D lineman himself from Archon Storm.
Woo!
Facing off Dear Jason, another new face. And somewhat of a celebrity or semi-pro. So a really exciting match there as well. And Dear Jason, of course, is the captain on Supreme. So really exciting matchup. Dan, are you excited?
I'm super excited.
Yeah, this might be, and I think there's a comment. Let me see if I can find. There's a comment in the Facebook thread that was like, is this just the all-star lineup? Oh, yeah, Steven Tapp.
Season 2 of the THL All-Stars. That's right.
Yeah, and this is certainly some of the best that THL has to offer. Really, really exciting stuff. Hopefully everybody's having a good week too. Some exciting games going on. There was some heat going on between those filthy casuals, stirring up the drama they are quickly becoming associated with as they face off versus the venerable Synergy. So there's some exciting matches going on there. Entropy's getting a lot of games done with the Dream Team. Jack Sox is able to pull out the win. Looks like they're trying to keep themselves looking in a good spot going into week 3. Of course, next week we have the Turf War where everyone will be matched up against their equally ranked team in the other conference. So if you're the third ranked team in your conference, you'll be playing the third ranked team in the other conference. So everyone's kind of jockeying for positions going into week 3.
Now, what's the purpose behind that aside from just for funsies? Does that affect your ranking within your own conference?
Yeah. So basically, it does affect your PR, it affects your standings, and it's a good opportunity to kind of like weigh the competition, because you're kind of facing off against your opponent, the rivals in your own conference all season. It gives you a chance to kind of take a sneak peek at who's, what the other teams are doing in the other conferences. And, you're going to be facing the team that's your equal strength. So there's a likelihood you might see them in the playoffs if you're doing well. And if you're not, at least you're playing against someone who's facing the same struggles that you are facing.
Indeed.
So you guys
right.
You can have a fun time together at that. It should be really fun. And we've got, the first week was pretty competitive. There was a lot of teams sticking really close together. So not a lot of clear winners. We were able to pull out, we being Archon Storm, pull out in front week 1. And Synergy, our homies from the finals of Season Kappa, also had a pretty commanding win.
Extremely commanding.
Yeah, taking the 5-0. But so with no more introduction, we are going to be jumping into game 1.
Pretty top tier stalling there, John.
Yeah, if there's one thing I'm good at, It's stalling.
It's filling those airwaves.
With meaningless, stall. But basically,
they call that content. But anyway, let's move on to the topic at hand. So we've got Catota and NaCl matched up. Catota with a commanding PR difference here at perfect 500 up against NaCl's 401. And the matchup, the lineups here, we've got for Catota, Mage, Paladin, Priest, and Rogue. So usually if there's just the Priest or just the Rogue, you say, ooh, how interesting.
Yeah.
Pretty uncommon to see both. And then NaCl has a much more standard and versatile / reliable lineup, I would say, in Druid, Hunter, Warlock, and Warrior.
Yeah. Definitely some of the more powerful classes. A lot of the top tier players / just a lot of the players in the league are identifying these classes as kind of the powerhouse classes to bring. So why not bring all of them? And Catota kind of took it in the opposite direction.
He really did. I think I'm not sure if there is honestly I'm not at perfect 500 PR level, so I don't know if there's something about NaCl's play on stream last week that made him feel like if there's anything in particular he's trying to target with those classes.
Sure.
But it does seem, just in general in Conquest, like those Priest and Rogue especially are not that versatile, because it's not like there's a massive difference in the way a Dragon Priest plays versus a Control Priest, and they can, as we saw with Andy Rogers during the All-Star match, you can kind of lean them.
Right. To elaborate, what you mean is there's not a lot of versatility within the class, as in the class, the decks themselves are, because I'd say Rogue is a very versatile deck, but you're saying there's not a lot of variation.
Yeah, but you know that when you're playing a Rogue,
you're playing a Rogue, yeah,
exactly,
right, yeah, and there's no aggro priest, right? Whereas like a Warlock or a Mage, there's a lot of variation between those.
Zoo and Handlock are extremely different games. They're virtually different classes.
Yeah, so it's gonna be really interesting. I'm extremely excited as someone who loves Rogue and Priest and Mage. I'm very excited to see what Catota's bringing. He's brought some cool decks in the past. We've only seen him use Priest once in the All-Star game, as you mentioned. He was able to win with Priest against Freeze Mage against Imbolc, which is Imbolc's a very good Freeze Mage player. And Priest is generally extremely unfavored, and it was very impressive to see Catota just sort of pilot that. So we're going to be heading into bans right now. And looking at their lineups, there we go. It's kind of interesting to see what they're going to ban. I would guess that Catota would ban. Wait.
Did we miss bans?
I'm seeing a Rogue from Catota, so that's not.
Did Catota mistakenly?
All right, let's contact them and see the ban situation, just to refresh people's. Okay, he gave up. So wait, I think Catota may have been confused.
I think he may have been confused, or he chose, but I think NaCl's got a pretty good idea of Catota's game plan now.
Opening with, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So basically, just to refresh everybody and remind you, you are supposed to queue in class you are banning first, and if you do not have it built, you just simply switch on over to the basic decks, grab one of those crappy decks, and jump in with that. So hopefully we'll see them do this. It looks like Catota's slightly confused. This is a new format to THL, so that is fairly understandable. So I think we're going to see the bans now.
And the reason we do this is to guarantee that you both find out about the ban at the exact same time, A, and B, so that you can't then sideboard in response.
Exactly. Because if someone were to say, "Oh, I'm banning your Warrior," even within that 1 or 2 second difference between saying it, you could adjust your ban. And that's why the simultaneous thing is really important.
And in season 1, or season alpha, I should say, of the league, we did a class submission round, and then about 20 minutes. The idea was that 20 minutes before your match, it would be revealed what the bans were, but that is still plenty of time to throw together. If I know that my Handlock's been banned, then I can just throw away my entire Warlock. Yeah.
and so I really like this new format. Anyway, we see Catota is actually going to ban the Druid coming from NaCl, and NaCl goes with the Mage.
John,
Which is odd, I
Salty
think.
Saturdays.
Very odd, actually.
My trusty co-host.
I agree with both
Co-host.
being very odd.
Co-host.
Yeah, I mean the Druid ban from Catota makes sense. Druids just wins a bunch against a lot. Really, he only has the Paladin class that can really give Druid a difficulty. But the fact that...
But at the same time, that may... So yeah, I guess since it's Conquest, the Mage doesn't necessarily have to wind up getting matched against the Warrior. But you got to be worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta be worried about that. You know, a Hunter can easily take out a Mage with enough pressure. Druid, obviously, is going to be giving a Mage trouble. And even a Warlock, a Hamlock, can give a Freeze Mage some bit of difficulty. So, really odd ban from NaCl. Regardless, it looks like...
Oh, did NaCl queue up the basic deck?
Masterful.
Oh
Classic.
my gosh.
Classic. This happened to me actually last week. It's a common problem.
You forget to switch over. Okay.
You forget to switch over.
Bear with us, folks. It looks like...
And then
going into
that moment when you draw your mulligan and then you see a Razor Friend, whatever that is.
So we are just starting off smooth sailing here. This is, unfortunately a little bit of difficulty. But yeah, it looks like we will have a Hunter coming from Catota, coming from NaCl, and Catota bringing the Rogue. I would like to mention that from the very little we've seen from this Rogue, I did see a Loot Hoarder. So I believe we will be seeing some sort of variation of Raptor Rogue. And that's something else, because it just recently came out on Thursday. So Catota had to have, it's interesting that he was either anticipating this or he tested enough with it that he was able to...
Just feeling good enough to bring it.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, we're going to see this... What I assume
there could be the argument, too, that since it's so new, even if it's not a top-tier deck in the long term, it's hard to know how to play around it.
Wow. Well,
is this... oh, baby. I'm actually not sure, but the Oracle makes me think Mill.
No,
and I'm hoping we see Bran.
Rogue. It's not a Mill Rogue, but I would say it is a Bran Rogue, is my guess. The Oracle is also run in, super aggressive Rogue decks.
For just a straight-up Bran Rogue, though, I would think we would have seen a Battlecry, one Battlecry beyond just the Cold Light at this point. Because the Loot Hoarder, the South Sea Deckhand...
I honestly have no
idea
what this is. I mean, this is... I don't know. There's an oil...
Golden Coin, by the way. Golden Coin on NaCl side.
Oh, very astute. Look at me. I'm getting old, Stan. my gold skills are just not what they used to be. And that is an all-gold mid-range Hunter, and he draws the 2-drop, 1-drop, 1 late. This is such an awkward spot for NaCl. I think coining out the Animal Companion is totally valid. He also probably has no idea what he's facing, as Buccaneers not really commonly run in any rogues. And neither is Loot Hoarder, so he's just not sure what he's facing here. This is a really good turn for Catota. Oh, an Assassin's Blade!
What's
happening right now? Well, Katota's gonna just really establish a lot of early board tempo right here. He is running low on cards, and that's where we're gonna see this this Cold Light Oracle kick into play.
This is also really susceptible to hounds, but there are none in NaCl's
there's
hand.
None at all, and NaCl's hand is really awkward. He is gonna remove the Buccaneer, but yeah, it's just super awkward, and this is so cool. I guess we're gonna see an Argent Horse Ride. This is some sort of aggro rogue. I'm not super familiar with aggro rogues, and also I mean, yeah, I'm at a little bit of a loss here, actually, just because I don't...
It seems to... Whatever it is, it sure seems to be working out.
Seems to be doing just fine. However, the Sludge Belcher is a huge pickup for NaCl. That is going to really slow this down. The Assassin's Blade will help him out, and this turn is just really awkward. I actually would have liked to see a Houndmaster much more than this play.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Although he's so aggressive at this point, I think the plan
is
might
just
be.
slow him down a
But
little
now
bit.
I don't think he's going to go face. I think now well,
Oh, and the sap.
that's huge. So you
well,
can easily
uses the
Assassin's Blade, and then next turn you can
Blade.
oil and sap. So I'm surprised that he's trading here.
Well, he'll still have the body on board. Wow, double oil. So he can sap oil and push crazy amounts of damage. In fact, this is going to be insane. There's no way...
Unless he plays Kodo right now. The Kodo would absolutely... I think you'd play the Kodo.
Yeah, I actually like the Catota play. Obviously, we see the hand, and this is going to get severely punished. Oh my god!
Against a rogue, how much value are you going to get out of your Kodo? I mean, obviously he just had 3 targets down there, but in general, I feel like a lot of rogue...
Well, not just that. It's just that rogue is more so than even like a hunter. Rogue is considered to be like one of the most dangerous classes to leave a minion up because of all the ways they can buff it, as we see his hand full of minion buffs. This is insane. And that's just lethal. Just playing this is lethal. He should have just played the Belcher again. That was a huge misplay because this is just lethal on board now. Any top deck to eviscerate. Well, crazy game. I adore Rogue. I'm outspoken in the league for my Rogue adoration, and that was something else.
Beautiful.
It was beautiful. Thank you, Dan. NaCl is probably just as baffled as we are, and just doesn't really.
How many
understand.
turns was that?
That was turn 7 lethal.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think NaCl, like, even without the eviscerate, like, or any of the buffs, he was dead to board. Because, either the dagger or the minion kills it. Whereas if he played,
I'm a little surprised that he did even bother. I mean, that was definitely a, what the hell kind of a play.
Yeah.
But it's true that was dead to board where the Belcher I guess gave you an extra turn to have less fun. I don't know.
Well, that's game 1, folks, and the Rogue is out of the way. Crazy game. Oh, I'm a little speechless and incredibly impressed. That was awesome. That was super cool. Really innovative deck coming from the top tier. A lot of these guys, including myself, like, I don't like to take risky decks into THL. And it's really neat to see somebody just sort of, bring a deck they're confident in and get a win with it right off the bat. So he also learns that Hunter is mid-range, and I would say a very slow mid-range. Seeing a Belcher is pretty crazy.
We saw the Belcher. He did only see one of the Houndmasters, so both of those weren't revealed.
Right.
Well, but that's also worth mentioning. Just even though like it's easy to sort of go on tilt a little bit and just throw cards out because who cares? When you're in league matches and you are going to lose, they are going to see that deck again, and so it's worthwhile. It's hard to know what could have been without telling the opponent anything, but it's always worth keeping in mind that once you're in a really bad spot, there is some merit to just conceding at that point before they get to see more. Right,
just hiding your hand, sure. Well, this is also a huge surprise, as NaCl is actually bringing Warlock. Or I'm sorry, Zoo.
Zoo.
And so Handlock is potentially the most favored class versus Priests. There's a couple that have very good matchups, but Handlock is definitely one of them. And Catota brings the Priest, which didn't have, at first glance, a good matchup, and now...
this is going to be a lot of pressure coming from this. This is quite the curve.
Actually, there's a Shredder, which makes me think this might be something weird. Catota did not play...
It could very well be Reno. That's what I assume now when I see a Warlock. I don't recognize.
Warlock. Yeah, the Shredder is definitely an odd choice. Catota is bringing definitely. This is a control priest. This start is not going to be able to. I mean, NaCl can use the owl here to try to shut down this cleric start, but aside from that, he doesn't have a ton of options. Personally, I'd probably just play the. No, you want to
play the egg. You have the activator in your hand in the alpha. You have a coin for the Shredder next turn. I don't know. I don't really mind them drawing a card if they want to waste their whole turn doing 1 damage to your imp.
Yeah, the egg doesn't allow him to kill it next turn, though. So maybe like a wolf would have been better. But then he could attack into the wolf and heal. Anyway, Catota elects to go with the injured Blademaster into the 3-1. NaCl is going to be able to respond here. And basically, this is a game where if the Zoo player can just run away with the game, the Priest won't have a chance to kind of take board control. Once the Priest takes board control, this game ends. And that might be this turn.
That might be this turn.
Yeah, I mean,
he does have the light bomb, so
he has quite a few.
It's always nice to have another AoE in your hand to know that this isn't your last chance.
Right.
But
I think Catota will he might wait on this. This is 7-9 damage. He drops down 15. It is pretty risky not to reset it right now.
And it also, we see, I mean, there's the egg and the shredder. The shredder obviously would want to hit with the circle, but the egg is, you can expect it to be in Zoo, and it's kind of nice to be able to AoE without that down.
Right. Well, I think NaCl will certainly play the shredder next turn, and this patience from Catota. I know I harp on about the decks I love. I adore Control Priest. It is actually my favorite deck in Hearthstone, and the biggest characteristic of a good Control Priest player is patience. Like, you have incredibly powerful like combos, but you have to make sure you're capturing enough value from them. And I will be incredibly impressed if NaCl
plays
scared.
nothing.
Well, I think he's scared of Holy Nova, so he wants to play.
I think that's fair.
But what is happening here is the egg is actually like really hurting Catota a lot. Yeah, and now Catota is not going to be able to wait, and he's going to have to do this, I think. He could play the Injured Blademaster heal. How much damage is he looking at? He's looking at 6 plus 3. He's looking at 9. That's pretty risky. He will be rewarded for it if he does this. He might heal his face if he's feeling enough pressure. Yeah, he does. Okay. So I like this play. This